Open Infrastructure Conversations by ShapeBlue. ShapeBlue is here at CloudFest in Germany supporting the Apache Cloud Stack project. For the last 3 days, we have been discussing with multiple public cloud providers, managed service providers, about the future of their IT infrastructure and how open source technologies can be the foundation of their IT infrastructure. Today, we will meet you with a few industry experts who will share their knowledge and vision about the market, the trends, and where actually the market is going. Let's go inside and take a look. Here at CloudFest, the last day of the conference, together with Giles Sirett, CEO of ShapeBlue and PMC member of the Cloud Stack project. So Giles, could you say a few words about your experience with the event here, presenting the Cloud Stack project?
Yeah, I mean, it's been fabulous for us this year. We're here supporting Apache Cloud Stack. We have the booth here, which is a Cloud Stack booth. And we've just been speaking to literally hundreds of organizations.
Last day of CloudFest 2026, and I'm here with Boyan Ivanov from StorPool Storage. Hey, Boyan.
Hey.
Can you tell us how the event is going for you and what trends you see on the market of public cloud providers and MSPs?
The event is going very well. It's stronger than last year. I think we see a lot of MSPs and service providers in general looking to advance their stacks. A big trend is data sovereignty. Another big trend is moving away from VMware. We see automation, we see AI topics. So these are like the 3-4 main topics at the event this year.
I totally agree with you, and what we have noticed is that the main use case, at least for us at the Cloud Stack booth, are companies which want to migrate from VMware to something which is open source, or at least something on which they have control. That's also valid for public cloud providers. So what are you noticing on the market? Obviously, there are a lot of consolidations, there are a lot of centralization there. How that is affecting the IT infrastructure layer?
I think people are starting to realize that there is no solution that can replace VMware, and if they have to do something about it, be it because they want to change their virtualization platform or they want to achieve better independence from global vendors, they want to do cloud repatriation, they want to do data sovereignty, they have to adopt a new design, a new stack. Open source is a big kind of stream in that. Also, selecting European vendors for European kind of based businesses is a big topic. So these are the trends on that drive advancing their existing platforms, adopting new solutions, testing new open source technologies, thinking whether they have to re-platform.
Can you share with us what do you see on the public cloud provider space and in general here at CloudFest?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been, of course, the public cloud has been our sort of focus segment since really the inception of the company. We started with hyperscalers. Of course, Oracle is one of our largest customers. And the hyperscalers have kind of their own way of doing things, right? But nowadays, with with the CloudFest crowd, these are European providers, and they tend to be more sovereign, regional, localized, and they're also catering to the local market. We've had the good fortune to have a really good relationship with many of these providers. My perspective is right now that the cloud is changing pretty radically, especially with AI coming in, really kind of shifting the focus to sovereign services and data protection, and that is starting to take kind of a more competitive view against the global hyperscalers, and you're starting to see repatriation efforts and things like that. So my impression is that a lot of the local regional vendors are really kind of working to get that their infrastructure capabilities up to be prepared to deliver services even in AI, for this new generation of digital services.
Are there a lot of organizations which are coming and looking really for open source solutions, specifically for building their stack on top of open source technologies?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, I mean, we've been bringing the Cloud Stack project to CloudFest for 4 years, and I remember that the first year we came, we were almost dragging people to the booth to say, look, you need to look at this open source technology, and the moment we mentioned open source, they were sort of running a mile. We have people queuing up at the booth this year because, you know, moving away from vendor lock-in, moving away from proprietary tech is the number one item on the agenda of a lot of service providers. And why is that? That's twofold. They've seen massive changes in the virtualization industry. And secondly, sovereignty. I mean, the current world situation, different countries falling out with one another, people don't want to rely on vendor technology from any specific country. And the beautiful thing about a project like Apache Cloud Stack, which is obviously an Apache project, is it's distributed IP. You know, there's no one company or one government who can tell a user to embargo it with export controls or tell a user to stop using that technology. And that, at the moment, seems to be very high on the agenda of a lot of service providers.
So obviously the cloud market is changing a lot. It's not what it was like 10 years ago, having different cloud providers. You mentioned also about hyperscalers and that now companies are trying to repatriate and building sovereign clouds. What do you think is the core infrastructure, the foundation of these sovereign clouds, what it should be? Should companies and sovereign cloud builders think more about proprietary vendors or using open source technologies, or there is a balance between both of them?
I think it's a balance. You know, I think and again, this kind of comes back to some of my points around sort of, are you building a world model, right, with that kind of very proprietary infrastructure, which, by the way, could still be built on open source technology. Open source, to me, is pervasive, right? It can be used on all infrastructures, and it is really a leveling technology. But what I see now is that there is a bit of a gold rush to get to some sort of differentiated stack for being able to deliver AI services.
Another major use case are companies which are building their own AI models. So what makes Cloud Stack as open source technology suitable foundation for building AI models and infrastructure?
Yeah, I mean, AI, training LLMs, whatever it is, at the moment it's all about access to GPU. Cloud Stack can orchestrate GPU as well as it orchestrates CPU, which it's done for years. It's multi-tenant, its GPU architecture is multi-tenant. And then also a lot of the same reasons we were talking about before in terms of sovereignty, in terms of no vendor lock-in. And we're seeing a lot of traction with Cloud Stack in the GPU space. You know, we've got customers who are building sovereign nation-state level clouds, which are predominantly orchestrating GPU instead of CPU.
Based on the conversations which we have had with companies here at CloudFest, what are the biggest challenges for cloud service providers and MSPs?
Again, there are around 3-4 major groups of challenges: replatforming and revirtualization. The other one is dealing with data sovereignty and all the regulations that come from kind of the European Union on that. Big one is the hardware supply shock, both in availability of servers and RAM and components, and their price increase. So these would be the major trends that are driving sleepless nights for service providers these days.
Where do you think the market is going? So it was first the virtualization, then there was a big hype around containers, then around the cloud and building your own cloud. What do you think could be the next trend?
Well, I think what we see now is everything getting delivered as a service, right? Even autonomous vehicles, for example, right now. You are starting to get services delivered automatically or maybe according to your preferences. And all of that kind of gets downloaded, right, through networking connections. And all of that is kind of enabled by these core technologies. It's all of them together. It's containers, it's virtualization, it's orchestration, it's sort of security.
What would you recommend to companies which are just rebuilding their IT infrastructure stack? If you could give maybe 3 recommendations for what are the key factors to consider?
Okay. important one is to start with understanding the current state of your business better, to understand the requirements that you have, because any solution is as good as the data that you provide to your partnering vendors, be it a system integrator, a cloud service provider, a kind of peer like us on the marketplace, where we can understand what you actually need, what are the workflows, what are the business requirements, not feature requirements, and start from there to design a new service that is going to be denser, more compliant, faster, or just cheaper. This is the first things, like understand your requirements. Then understand what are the trade-offs that you have to take. That's number two. There is no direct replacement for the public cloud. There is no direct replacement for VMware.
Yeah,
so
for
you have to understand, okay, what reasonable trade-offs do I have to make?
You need to accept there will be a change.
There will be definitely a trade-offs. Likely your business will be better in the end, but there will be sometimes a degree of discomfort in getting there. So these are maybe the two major things that you have to think about, and then talk to the best-in-class vendors that can help you satisfy your requirements and do your workflow and get you to the new state that you need with the trade-offs that you accepted to have.
Apache Cloud Stack currently is one of the leading VMware alternatives. I personally have been speaking with at least 20 different companies for these 3 days, which are looking for a VMware alternative and which want to not only decrease their costs, but they also want to ensure their long-term reliability. What do you think makes Cloud Stack so suitable as a VMware alternative?
So first of all, Cloud Stack is bulletproof. It's been around in widespread production use for well over a decade and hugely scalable. It's proven. It was written as multi-tenant from the ground up. It was designed for service providers initially. And the thing that Cloud Stack has always had is it's relatively easy to deploy, easy to manage, low cost of ownership. The reason people are moving away from VMware is, obviously what's gone on with the changes in that organization and, the prices they're having to pay and what have you, but also people looking forward and saying, look, I don't really want this situation to happen again, and what we need to do is find something that's open source. Now, in our space, there's lots of other companies who do similar things from an orchestration viewpoint, but really the only technology out there that is Apache 2 licensed, truly open source, you don't have to buy a vendor distribution to run it in production, is Apache Cloud Stack, and that's why we've had so much interest at CloudFest this year.
I think is really cool is that the Apache Cloud Stack being a trusted name, very, very accessible, right? And the models for being able to adopt that are very easy, for consumption, right? And I think that those sorts of things just enable all of the use cases to become better.